Welcome everybody, Tom Matuska here, and welcome Brett Wingfield once more to the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company Thursday afternoon live. You know how you have those group meetings sometimes and you have to, are you on a 1 to 10, are you happy, sad? You know,
Yes.
I'm sad today.
Oh no, how come?
Ice cream truck didn't
It
come.
didn't, that's right.
Ice cream truck came on Tuesday, and mentally I wasn't prepared for Tuesday ice cream because it was kind of the highlight of our Thursday afternoon live, because just before Thursday afternoon we got our root beer floats, and we didn't have the ice cream truck come today, so I'm a little depressed, a little depressed because I don't have that ice cream.
And next week,
NT?
yeah, we're not going to be here for the ice cream truck.
Oh, and I think there's two, might as well tell you right now, break the news to you. I know you're going to be sad too on a scale from 1 to 10. You're going to be like a -9.
Heartbroken.
Next week finds us at the National Taxidermy Association in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Sioux Falls, that's pretty exciting.
And I think you're going to see a whole lot of ads and Facebook posts and all kinds of different things coming from the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company. There's going to be lots of specials. We will have a large presence there, and it's shaping up to be a really, really exceptional show, I think.
We've got some guest seminars that'll be there in the booth.
We're going to be showing pan pastels, Createx, artificial noses, all kinds of tips and tricks and things to make your business more profitable and turn out a better product.
Whitetail tips from Brian.
Oh yeah, Brian Olson will be there, and anybody that's listened to any of Brian's, seminars, instructional how-to, what do you call it, infomercials. Yeah. Brian's exceptional, and nobody knows more about whitetail deer and mule deer and a whole lot of different species. But Brian Olson will be there at the booth. Corey Crothers will be there at the booth. So we're going to have a lot of seminars going on, and make sure you come. If you're not a member of the NTA, show up, and I'm sure somebody's going to sign you up. Yeah. It's a worthwhile organization. Dale Manning is kind of in charge of it, I think, and he's got a great board behind him. And the last NTA show we went to in Sioux Falls was extreme. Yes. I think we had a family reunion, didn't we?
It seemed like it.
I could only stay like half of the show, but it was well put together, well organized, nice facility. So plan on coming to the NTA in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and join if you're not already a member, and if you are a member, take advantage of everything the NTA has to offer.
And discounts from the supply company?
Discounts, yeah, lots of discounts. A lot of free giveaways. You know how Mandy approaches a show. Everything is 100% off, and here, have one of these, have one of these. So I'm sure if you hang around the Matuska booth, you're going to get lots of bargains. I just come home and shake my head at all the stuff we gave away. But it's a great organization that represents our industry, and I think a lot of people, because of this COVID business, are sick and tired of being cooped up, and the shows have been, the shows that have gone on have been
very successful.
Pretty successful, and we used to going to one, every week for a while, and they've been far and few between. So I think people are excited to get out, learn new things, talk to people that they haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah.
So come to Sioux Falls. And so we won't have live next Thursday. Yeah. And the Thursday afternoon, after that, we will have the Missouri show. And that will be another big show. Missouri knows how to do a, taxidermy show, and they do an exceptional job down there. And so we'll be there. We'll have a booth at the Missouri show, and kind of getting back into this show.
Yeah, odd for
I know
August
it's odd
show
for us.
season.
We've had vacation for a long time. But anyway, mark it on your calendar. Next week, NTA.
And we're pretty close to home. If anybody needs anything by Monday,
they say. We will be hauling orders. We have some pretty big form orders that we're going to we'll be bringing a trailer, and we're close enough. We're 90 miles away, so if there will be vehicles going back and forth between here and there. So place your order. They would like them in by Monday. Those of you that we go to a show and they say, oh, I wish, got my hides back from the tannery and I never measured them. I wish I'd have measured them. Make sure to measure your hides or bring measurements if you do, and try some of the new XP forms, some of the traditional Competitor's Choice forms. Man, we got a lot of good stuff. Bears. We'll have a lot of new things to see, new products to see.
We'll have some XP forms, but if they want a quantity of them, order by Monday.
Can't haul.
We'll bring them. Yeah, we'll bring them if we can.
Our trailer holds really, really cramped. We've got not quite 200 in it. It's a pretty big trailer. That's with other supplies. Also other orders, not just forms. I mean, if you have any kind of supply order, try to get it in by Monday, because we got, first of all, the crew is working really, really diligently on getting our display ready. We haven't done this for a while, so we've got to regroup and talk about backboards and signage and all of that sort of thing. So that's their primary focus, but we're also going to be hauling orders, not just forms. So make sure, and I think we're going to be taking a pretty big trailer to the Missouri show. We will have a nice presence at the Missouri show also. So if you have supplies or forms that you need at the Missouri show, give us a call, and we will see what we can do to get them there for you.
Wow, that's a lot of busy stuff.
I know it's busy. So you come to see us in person next week and the week after, because we won't be here. Maybe the girls will be doing quilt work or something on Thursday afternoon. Anyway, if you joined us, we must be on 6. Are we on like 6? I'm pretty good at keeping track of this, aren't I? When we get into these 30-session lives, it's hard for me to keep track. But this was Walleye A to Z, and if you, if you want to mount, it doesn't apply to just a walleye. It applies to a bass, a walleye, a northern, whatever it happens to be. Start at the beginning. The process is the same. The species may be different, but we started you out how to make a pattern. We showed you how to order a fish form if you want to order a fish form and aren't comfortable carving your own. We showed you how to carve your own. We showed you how to take measurements, make a pattern, take measurements. You'll want to take measurements no matter whether you carve your own body or if you buy one. You're going to want to compare what you buy. We showed you skinning a fish. We even showed you making gills and a throat. I noticed that walleye you have has a pretty nice throat in it. It's kind of exciting. The one thing I really, when I'm finishing fish that we've done, as I'm working on them and sealing inside of the mouth, you get to a, oh, that one's got one too. You get to a place like this and you see yellow styrofoam in there and you go, oh no, what am I going to do there? And you spray a little pink. Oh, that's too pink. Spray a little black. Oh, that's too black. You know, you're trying to cover up but you can make a little throat in there. We showed you how to do that on live, and that's with a little bit of practice, it's really a 7-minute job. It's a pretty fast job. Nobody's going to critique your esophagus very closely. No. Also, I got to tell you, if you see something like this going on during live today, we are being undermined by a family of badgers.
Yes, we are.
We didn't know what we had. We thought we'd been bombed. There's a great big old hole in the ground, and then another hole and another hole. We came, about a week ago, and somebody said, oh, it's a skunk. That's a big hole for a skunk, So then somebody said badgers. Oh, maybe badgers. We've had badgers before. Somebody said groundhog. Might be a groundhog. Well, Austin caught a badger today.
Yes, he did.
And we relocated it.
Took that special relocation program.
Smelly old badger in the back of my truck, and we took him a long ways away. I bet he's halfway back here by now.
I bet he is.
Only to find out, I don't know who we got, but there are 4 more in our front yard, and they've been seeing them all day. And these are not little badgers. They're not like baby badgers. They're not cuddly kind. They're snarly kind. So we're going to be relocating a lot of badgers. So we're going to try to get the family back together. But anyway, they kind of make the building shake a little bit when they start digging. Anyway, so you go back and watch the archives, and they can look it up on YouTube. or our archives on Facebook, and follow the, the Walleye A to Z. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you do if you are doing a walleye or a perch or a bluegill or a largemouth bass. For us, the process is very similar. And that got us to last week. We mounted that walleye, correct?
Yep, we got the skin on, got him all sewed up, got fins posed, used our little fin carding. We used some fire thread to sew him up.
And you
together.
mentioned fin carding. We have a fin carding system, or you can buy these separate. And this is, I don't know, plastic screen. I think it's probably used for maybe cross stitch, but I'm not real familiar with sewing. But it's a crafty item. The nice thing about this is if you buy it like in Hobby Lobby, it's got real coarse squares and it leaves impressions on your fins. This is really, really fine and it allows air to go through and dry your fins. We use a solid sheet of polyethylene. Not sure of my polys, but it's a solid sheet like this that you can pin to, paper clip to, like you can see on this largemouth. And like we've used tons of things over the years. We used to use screen, remember that?
Yes.
Used to use galvanized screen, like window screen, and we would cut it. And it worked really good because air could go through both sides, but it would always start unraveling and they would cling together and you'd start pulling strands of screen off. Like you mentioned, we used to use pop box cardboard.
Oh,
and
gosh,
if you don't wax it, it sticks to the back of the fin. And then it says Orange Crush across the back or Coca-Cola. We've had that a lot. But this is some of the nicest stuff we've ever found to work with. And don't throw this stuff away. Cut out the fins that you want. Shape them to your fish. You can even want to, if you can trace around these, cut them out with the scissors, test fit them, make them fit, and that should be good for every 5 to 6 pound largemouth bass. Paper clip them on. We paper clip them pretty heavy. Paper clips are very inexpensive. And now that your fish is dry, and we'll let this fish dry, how long?
Oh, this one's been a week.
And he's pretty dry.
He's doing real well.
Check the jaws. If the jaw's hard, usually the fins are.
Yep. And fins go pretty fast, but I'd say all the clay is dry under all the cheeks and meats.
But let him dry real good because the fins can get wavy if you take it off too soon. So now when we did this largemouth, we have a bag that those fin cards go in, and it says 4 to 6 pound largemouth. And now all we're gonna do is slide these off. They slide off real nice. They won't hurt your fin. Be a little careful with them.
Go ahead and slide them off and leave your paper clips in place. And then you can just put them right back and you've got the right number of clips on each piece of carding.
Oops, I got pins. Pull your pins before you do this or you're gonna tear your fin. And then once you pull all your pins, then that'll slide off, And like Brett said, just keep those paper clips in place. You got the front and the back of the fin. Put them all together, like so. Put them back in your bag. And then we just have Tupperware totes that all of our largemouth and smallmouth are in one tote. Walleyes are in another tote. Bluegills, sunfish are in another tote. But look at how easy that is. Now when we go to do a fish, like last week we get this walleye out, we go to our tote, we pull out like 8 pound walleye. It'll have the bag. It should have all of the front and backs of the fins. Use them over and over and over. You never have to buy these again.
Yeah, very, very, very handy. Huge time savings. Huge time savings.
Oops, I didn't get them all. I also had my little gill covers here. Oh, forgot a whole bunch of things here. And holler if you got any questions. Make sure you text them in and we'll try to answer them for you. And fish are like butterfly wings. Anybody ever had a bug collection you spread those wings or pose them the way you want them, and the fins do the same thing. So there you go.
Stay right there.
Save all your pins. I usually have a little styrofoam thing that I stick the pins in.
Yeah.
Okay. Try to look and double look over all your fins as you, like when you did that walleye, we like to stand back and look at him, and don't mount him fast and put him on the shelf and forget him, because things can move, gravity can move, and you have a very small window with fish to readjust something. You know, you can, fins don't rehydrate very good. I've done it, but they never soften up like you want them to. This is a nice looking fish. Okay, now we're going to show them how to do a backing today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we'll do a backing on our fins for durability and strength. At this point, they're so fragile that if we didn't do anything, I don't even think it would make it through the painting process before we'd break half a dozen fins.
I always blame the ladies. I always say you'll want to put something on the back, because first thing your wife will come and try to dust your fish and wreck all the fins. But no, you're going to keep your own mounts clean, and you would be the one doing it. But I did have a jumping muskie. I did this big pedestal jumping muskie of my own out in the showroom, and it was a walnut case. I had water splashes. It was a beautiful, beautiful fish in a real radical coming up after a Wingfield Wizardry lure. And I left the fins like, you know, kind of like this. I didn't put a backing on them. I didn't do anything to put a, you know, any kind of backing. And I just put several coats of like Mod Podge or some kind of fin glue. And you'll notice you got a lot of little pointy things sticking out here. And we had a lady that worked for us in the office, and she always wore big fluffy mohair sweaters. And pretty soon I would see a little fin busted here and a fin busted here. And as she's reaching around on the counter and dusting and doing all kinds of different things, my fins looked like you took a weed whip to them.
Ugh.
And the fish eventually got thrown in the garbage. It was that bad, you know. So now the next step, we like to clean everything. So it doesn't hurt to take maybe a little lacquer thinner or something on these fish. We have clay dust on them, and we have who knows what from, you might have salt residue from your pickle, borax residue from your pickle. So it doesn't hurt to, and I like to use a solvent rather than water, because we don't want to rehydrate these. Yeah. So if you took lacquer thinner, alcohol, acetone, something like that on a little rag, and just wipe with the fins, I like to do that. It cleans them up real nice. And then we want to seal them. And you've got some favorite sealers. What do you like to seal them with?
We've sealed with several different things, and the idea of sealing them is that we will get a good bond between our flexative and the fin itself. So we've used base coat sealer, a lacquer-based product.
That's a Lifetone product, yeah?
Yep. We've used the Createx sealer. Is it 6000 transparent sealer?
Some. It is.
Yep. And this is really nice. It's a nice seal. It goes on and creates a really good bond between your flexative, which we're going to use Mod Podge. And the idea, another part of the idea is that we get this fin sealed before we put a water-based product like Mod Podge that takes a long time to dry, relatively long time, so that it doesn't rehydrate our fins, and we keep a nice straight fin. So we'll put a little sealer on these.
And just shake up your sealer. I'm going to put just a little in. This is the Createx 6000. Make sure it comes in different, comes in white, comes in gray, comes in clear. So make sure that you have transparent.
Yes, unless you want,
because it'll look the same as a white.
It does look exactly the same.
Now, the big secret for us is when you put it on your fish, don't go crossways to the fin rays, because if it does have some body to it, and if it leaves a ridge, you don't want a ridge going crossways to it. So we're just going to take I like to use a lot of these chip brushes, they're called, and I call them, I shouldn't say this, I call them junk brushes. We sell them, and I always say we don't sell any junk, but we do sell junk brushes. I like to use these because I don't take care of my paintbrushes. And because I don't take care of my paintbrushes, I let them harden. And if I got a $5 or $6 brush, I will have wrecked it. And so these are like 50 cents. So I don't mind wrecking these. If they accidentally dry on me, I can try to rehydrate them, otherwise throw them away. Okay, now as gravity has taken this is a reasonably thin product, it's collecting down at the bottom of the fin. So I like to brush it on, and then I'm going to just tip this whole fish on his side and let it dry.
And what's the purpose for tipping it on its side?
Well, because right now it's all gravity's taking it down to the edge, and my thinking is if I were to do something like that, it will spread out a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Is that a good idea?
I like it.
But it's going to collect someplace else. Now, you can seal this fish with, like, base coat sealer is a good product. We've done that for years, Life Tone product.
And if they're paying attention, they know the answer, but are you sealing one side or both sides?
Both.
Both sides.
There used to be a fin product by Wasco, and when you used it, it was a flexitive. And when you used it, your fins would, I mean, like really get like an accordion. And so I called them. They used to get tired of me calling because I asked a lot of dumb questions when I was getting started. And I would call them and they said, that's because you put it too heavy on one side and not on the other. You don't have equal. So I was really careful. One coat here, one coat here. And they'd still go, wah, you know, it was their way of appeasing me. I think the trick is just don't rehydrate them. Don't get them real wet. We have had fins, and I like a nice, graceful wave. It looks very natural. But too much of a wave, there's a difference between natural and a little bit phony. Yeah. If your fins, you come in tomorrow and, oh my gosh, what happened here? Put your carding back on, paper clip them. We have before hit them with a hairdryer and let them cool, and they're nice and straight again. Yep. So if they do get wavy on you, don't get too excited. So that's the sealer. Whether you use base coat sealer, whether you use Createch 6000, whatever kind of sealer, shellac, we've used shellac in the olden days. Let that dry. This dries in probably 15 to 20 minutes. Base coat sealer, maybe 10 minutes, just depends on how fast you are. And we're just going to let that dry, and we'll do that to all our fins. And then the next step, I think, would be put some kind of backing on them, right?
Yep. If they want to do a backing, if they didn't, if they were doing a competition fish and they didn't want to do a backing, now they could just start putting their flexitive on straight. But we choose to do a backing on all of our commercial fish for sure, for the same reasons that Tom was talking about, because for durability's sake. We've used some real durable backings in the past. We used Lexan for a long time. I've seen people use that milk carton material on the back of fins, cardboard, and not for spreading the fins, but for backing.
My very first backing when I started my business was unbleached muslin cloth that you get. There was no Walmart then, but at a store like Walmart, you go to a fabric store and you would buy it by the bolt because our bodies are made out of a sack tube. And all the trimmings, we would tip the fish upside down like this. You would paint a flexitive on the back of the fin, and you would cut out a fin shape and glue it on the back. It was 100% cloth.
Wow.
And there are still, there's a fish right over there of my mother's that has a cloth-backed fins.
Yeah.
And of the many things that I've done over the years, that wasn't the worst. It was not that bad.
Yeah, that seems like that would be durable.
Then I went to cardboard. And you got to be careful about the cardboard because it says cornflakes right through the fin because your fins are kind of transparent. We did the cardboard thing. And then I had another taxidermist in an area that advertised his fins as transparent. So then we kind of gravitated to the clear stuff, to the Lexan and things like that, and the contact cement.
Yep, yep. All of them had pluses and minuses, a little more rigid, a little more durable. This isn't the most durable. This is silk span, by the way. Not the most durable, but very, very durable. Gives you a nice fin that still has some transparency. Relatively thin, not super thick like cardboard would be. And so we think this kind of meets all the requirements.
It's pretty durable done right.
It's not going to survive if it falls off the wall. It's probably going to crunch a little bit. So don't knock them off the wall, but it's still very durable and is going to give you a nice looking fin. So we're going to apply that with Mod Podge. And I'm just going to take, I guess we can do a couple things. Should we show them repairs? If we were to do a couple little splits.
That's a good idea. I think we got time.
If you wanted to do a quick little repair, and I see this walleye's got a couple of splits, if for some reason we weren't going to put a backing on it, but you still wanted to fix, let's see if I can get this turned for Kate. If we wanted to fix one of these little splits back here, or this one down here, we could tear a small piece of silk span and we could do just one little area.
On a little brush?
Yeah, yeah. I can use your big brush. Yeah.
I'll grab you one.
We're using Mod Podge matte today. You could probably use gloss if you wanted to, if that's what you had, but matte works really well and accepts paint very well. Sometimes the gloss paint will beat up on a little bit, but this works pretty good. So we're going to use Mod Podge matte as our flexative. And we're going to take just a little bit of silk span, which is kind of like tissue paper. And we're going to put it on the back side, just in that fin gap. And if you had some really nice competition fins, but you just had one little spot you needed to fix, this might be the way to go. One thing that's nice about the silk span is that if you tear the edge, like so, it's very random and you can put it against there and it almost disappears. Almost disappears. So I will do that on the back first. I'm going to paint the fin with a little bit of Mod Podge. And then I'm just going to stick that right to it. And I'm going to overlap. This is important. In fact, I'll try and get you a little better view of it. I'm going to turn it sideways. You can see here we have an edge that sticks out past the edge of the fin. And that's desirable so that we can come back and trim it. If we were just a little bit too short, we would have to come back and trim too much of the fin to get to the edging. So we're going to coat the back side and let that set up. I'm going to spread this Mod Podge all the way past the fin and onto the real fin. And that would give you a pretty nice fin repair if you just had a small area that you were going to fix. Now we'd have to come back and we'll color it later, but that would dry.
Now it's really important to keep your fins in really nice shape as you're skinning him and mounting him, because you are going to be flipping him over and putting him in the sink and spraying him with water. And these fins, a little damage can turn into a lot of damage.
Yes.
And Some people even go to the extent of putting all artificial fins on, and we call them hybrid fish. They're actually using the real fish skin, but they're using artificial fins and a head sometimes. One thing that you taught me that worked pretty well on a competition fish was to wrap the fins in paper towel and paper clip them, wet paper towel. And it's amazing, if your fins are in good shape, wash them up real good, little, bathroom paper towel on each side and paper clip them as you skin, and as you flop them, they stay in twice as good a shape as they will be otherwise. Another thing you can do is remove your fins, set them aside, mount them on your body separate, treat them like an artificial
I like
fin.
that. I like that.
And that works well too, cut them off.
Yep. So anything you can do to keep these, if you look at reference pictures, which we should probably have reference pictures to show them today, but I don't think we have them
They're
set
marvelously
out,
nice
they
shape,
are
aren't they?
really, really nice.
We used to, for students, take a healthy fish fin, because students, when you're teaching people that don't handle a lot of fish, they think this is natural. This isn't natural. This fish has probably been through a net. He's been in a boat. He's kind of been roughed up a little bit. That's not a natural look. We used to take fresh caught fish, spread them on the copy machine, and the girls out in the office would cringe every time. We would stretch them on a copy machine and make a copy of them, and it would show the edge of the fins. And a good, healthy fish has often extremely nice fins.
Yes.
And we like to put that back.
Yeah. I think that really shows a healthy, fresh looking fish. I think that makes for a nice mount. Now, if we were to do our fully backed fins, that's exactly the same as doing the fin repair, except we're going to use we're going to back the whole fin all at once. So I'm going to do this set of them. We'll do the whole fish. I'm just going to take a piece of silk span like this one, and we're going to put it on the back of all of the fins. We're only going to back, what would you say, 2/3?
2/3.
About 2/3 of the fin. And the reason is, as you get further up onto the fin, it has more and more strength, and it gets a little bit thicker. The fin rays get thicker and thicker, and you get an air gap between your material and your actual fin, so it almost defeats the purpose. So we're going to do the backside, and I'm going to throw Kate off because I'm going to turn him around so that they can see what I'm doing. I'm going to spin him around. We'll try and keep him in the picture. Hey, I moved it the right way. That's always confusing. Maybe I didn't. Which way am I going? There we go. I'm going to do the tail. If you can get to the tail. There we go. And we will just apply our flexitive to the tail. I like to do the backside first. Do you do both sides, or do you do just the backside first?
No, the back I like.
It's kind of nice to do the backside first, because then you're not putting a water-based product or a product that could rehydrate your fin on both sides. So
that's a nice
if
brush.
It is a really nice brush. I like these brushes. This way, the dry side, the front side, is going to help kind of maintain the integrity of the fin shape. Put this on the whole fin like this, but we're only going to back the outer 2/3, trailing 2/3. And I'm going to use this torn edge so it blends nice. And I'm just going to make sure and go beyond. And I think this is probably the one area that I'd really, really stress, is make sure that you're going past the fin so that we have room to trim. If we have any shape that we want to improve or span. We want to make sure that we have plenty to use there. So I'm going to go past it. Don't go so far that it's really floppy, because it is going to get Mod Podge put on it. So don't go so far that it's real floppy and rolls over on you, but make sure that you're going past the trailing edge of the fin. And then I'm going to work it down into all of the low spots first. Guess what this feels like? What have we been doing all week? Fiberglass.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like fiberglass. Getting all the air out doing fiberglass.
That was a quiz, and I didn't know what to say.
Caught you off guard. But we're just going to work all the air out and brush this up under the backing. We'll go all the way around, making sure to go out past the fin rays, leaving it nice and smooth. Go along, go in the same direction as the fin rays, even though this is the back side. If you were to leave little brush strokes, they're going to conform to the shape of the fin ray. Like Tom said earlier, we're not going to go against them, we're going to go with them. Like that. And we go all the way around, do all of these fins, except the spiny dorsal. No need to do the spiny dorsal.
For a backing.
No need to put a backing on the spiny dorsal. It'll be plenty strong by itself. We will put Mod Podge on that just to gain some flexibility and thickness, rebuilding some of that shrinkage, but no backing on the spiny dorsal.
And fins, I might add, take time. It's not an instant flexitive. I mean, they're going to be very flexitive. Just these fins, like Brett said when we first started, they're very, very, very fragile. And now I just put that sealer on, that Createch sealer, and they're already real flexible.
Oh, yeah.
And then with the addition of the silk span, they get stronger and they have a backing, and each additional coat of silk span builds up that fin and makes them impervious to a dust cloth or, you know, a ball hitting them, things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they can withstand a lot if you spend the time and take care of your fins. And that's real important because these fish mounts take so much time. People have a lot of time and money involved in them. Take time to do the fins nice too.
And how many repairs do we do?
A lot. A lot.
Too many. So this hopefully a good durable backing. Hopefully you're not going to get a lot of fin repairs anyways.
You know, and speaking of repairs, that's something that a lot of taxidermists don't want to do. Why would you want to do an old crusty fish when you can do a nice fresh caught one right out of the freezer? But don't discount repairs. People spend a lot of money to get these done the first time, and it's a memory and it's a trophy, and they want them, you know, they want their old fish back. So we kind of spend a lot of time on repairs, and we do, like you said, we do a lot of repairs. Some of them the fish that we have done in years past, and some that people have had on their walls long before we were in business.
And not just repairs. We've done kind of full refurbish.
Oh, sure.
It's not necessarily that the fish was damaged, but it's just a refurbish, updated,
and we've taken older fish and we put new eyes in them. New, you know, I'd call them state-of-the-art eyes, much nicer eyes than they had in the time that they were mounted. We redo fins. We add fins. What did we do? We just did a really nice big king salmon, and the fins were atrocious. We bought a fin set and replaced the salmon, the old salmon fins with new fins. We have a northern that we're redoing, and the whole head actually needs a new head, and it needs all new fins. So you can put a lot of effort into an old fish and make them look really nice.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. While I go around this and finish up all these fins, were you going to show them something more interesting?
Every fish we do, we kind of have an order in the way we do things. You notice that we started with the fins, and my thinking on the fins is if you kept the fins to last and did them last, you're going to be rolling that fish around, you're going to be setting eyes, you're going to brush those fragile fins on your pants, and you're going to bust them. But if you treat your fins for flexibility first and build up the thickness and make them real sturdy, then you don't have to worry about them, and they're not so fragile when you're doing the eyes and doing the buildup under the jaws and the top of the head. So first we're going to do the fins. We like to do that on any of our fish. And when we do them, we don't just do one fin. We will seal several fish. Then we'll cut out or tear out the silk span on several fish. And then we will go from fish to fish to fish to fish. And then we'll come back, and as soon as one has dried, we will trim it. And we kind of have a little assembly line going, so it seems to go much, much faster. The other thing that we like to do is we like to take care of this seam. I always tell customers that I do have a work surface, and the fish has to come out through the back area, and the body has to go in, and we're going to sew it up. So I always tell people your fish will be finished 3/4 of the way around. It might even be 7/8 of the way around. But I do want to do something with that seam, and our choice of fix-its for that is I'm going to use Magic Smooth, and this is from the makers of Magic Sculpt. And Magic Smooth is a product that is a 2-part epoxy, and it's very, very goopy stuff. And I'm just gonna, we like to mix on a paper plate. This is the handiest thing you'll ever have in your shop, whether it's mixing Bondo or epoxies or whatever it happens to be. But we use a lot of paper plates. I'm going to use a separate stir stick for the A and a separate one for the B. I don't want to use this stir stick and then go dip in here because it's going to set the other product. So I just try to get equal amounts here. Magic Smooth, you need to mix it really, really well, like Magic Sculpt, Epoxy Sculpt, any of those, but you don't do it with your fingers. If you do it with your fingers, it's going to be like thick, thick, thick molasses. It's much too sticky.
If it gets hard, like Epoxy Sculpt, can you put it in the microwave or no?
Oh, I never have a problem with that, like as much as Epoxy Sculpt or Magic Sculpt. I'm sure you can, any of those epoxies. Just don't put it in after you mix them. Just put in this container for a short time, the other container for a short time. That does seem to work with most epoxies.
It does. I think I've actually run into it with the Magic Smooth. But do be careful because heat is a catalyst and it can set up on you pretty fast if you get it too hot. But it does work.
Okay, now it turns into a real nice, you know, I don't know, beigey color. And then, now remember, we're not going to touch it with our hands yet. I am eventually. I'm just going to scoop up a little bit with my trowel, and I'm going to force it down into my stitches. And I'm getting it a little bit on the fish skin. It'll come off when I want it to come off. And I'm just making it level. And I'll go all the way from the tail all the way to the head. I'm making it really hard for you to follow this. Sorry.
I bet Mandy just ran out to go put paper plates in the catalog.
That's funny. True.
Oh,
paper plates, I cut up my shipping boxes
Sure.
to roughly 6 by 6 squares.
That's
They're great for mixing stuff.
That's kind of funny because I did that this afternoon to mix Bondo.
Hey, and speaking of Tara, she has offered a lot of good ideas through comments, and one of the ones that she mentioned for fish skins, for soaking fish skins or rehydrating fish, was to use a wallpaper tray.
Oh, that's a great
I
idea.
thought that was a really good idea. It's you're not going to have to mix the volume of pickle. You'll have a smaller, takes up less space. It's still nice, heavy duty. I like that one. She mentioned that a couple weeks ago, I think.
Okay, now I've just, I haven't been very careful. I've just spread it right on the back of the fish seam. Now I'm going to take water. Now I'm going to touch it, but it's a little bit of a trick to get used to this. Magic Smooth is really, really sticky. If I use water on my fingers, I am able to get, I don't know, kind of a slick, and you can get your fingers going and it won't stick to your fingers. And I'm going to spread it out using my finger to shape it, get rid of all the lumps and bumps. And then I'm going to take that same tool and I'm going to scrape it off of my good fish skin that I have good scale texture. Now, if we were doing a fish where either a double-sided fish, possibly a competition fish, or something along those lines, where you want a scale texture, Magic Smooth wouldn't be my product of choice, but I still would use it to work down into the stitches themselves to hold my seam together.
And tell them a little bit more about that. I think that's really important. Why do you use Magic Smooth to hold your seam together, but maybe something else for texture?
I don't think that most of the white putties like Fix-It Sculpt and Epoxy Sculpt and Magic Sculpt have the strength. It seems like to me. They don't have the strength to really hold it together. Magic Smooth seems to be much stronger, but it's harder to texture for me. So when it comes to texturing, if I wanted scale texture on here, this is a difficult product to recreate scale texture. The best we've probably done, if you can catch it just right, if you can put it on now and watch it and test, you can put scale textures back in, but you're never going to be here at the right time. Whereas Magic Smooth or Magic Sculpt or Epoxy Sculpt or Fix-It Sculpt, you put the texture in and it's there, but it doesn't hold the seams together. A product that we used to use years and years and years ago, and I think Jeff Morning still uses it, is PC7. And PC7, I used PC7 40 years ago, and it's still in the hardware stores, and it's black, and that does seem to hold your seam together.
Yeah, it does very good. Of all those repairs that we've seen, any of the Magic Smooth fish, I've never seen a crack in the back. And boy, with fish that came in 30 years ago from different taxidermists, you'll see everything from Bondo to felt to
Felt. One of them I repaired I was doing the other day was felt. Now this is just Magic Smooth. I took out all the tooling marks with my finger. I scraped it off of the good scales. I wiped it off of the good scales and painted. That's going to give me a nice commercial back. It's not going to be a competition piece, but it's going to give you a real nice commercial back that looks finished, and customers can look in the back and it looks better than felt or any of the other materials you could use. You can use Magic Smooth. This is a great two-part epoxy. If you're gluing rods into something, this is a sticky, goopy epoxy paste. And we've used it a lot. you can build up top of the heads, you can build up jaws. It's a little more difficult to shape. Like I said, you have to catch it. It dries somewhat ambery clear. So another place I like it is if I had maybe, say you got a crappie and you got a couple scales missing here, put a little speck of this and smooth it out, and because it dries clear, it's helpful. You can we fix big fish gouges in the fins. We fix that with Magic Smooth. You'll find lots of different purposes for it. It's just a good, sticky, goopy product.
It is. Did you tell them, I missed it, did you tell them what your expected setup time for it is?
No, and it takes a long time to set up. It'll take, what would you say, 4 hours?
I bet, yeah.
3 to 4 hours before you, and you can't work it for 3 to 4 hours, but before you can really handle it, 3 to 4 hours is very slow setting.
Yeah.
Very forgiving, very slow setting.
And that's why you were saying that it's hard to catch it at that time because you can't sit long enough
set your clock. And
yeah.
So next week we're not here, and the week after we're not here. When we come back for session 7, we need to show you how to set eyes, how to build up all of this top of the head has shrunk because we're using the real head. A lot of people go, I had somebody in here, oh man, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago from Wyoming that did a lot of fish, and they said, you still use the real heads? Yeah, we still, 7, 8 years ago, later, we still use the real heads on a lot of fish. We don't, of course, on trout and salmon and that sort of thing, but we do on our bass and we do on our walleyes, those sort of fish. They dry nice, but a lot of people don't do that. So because we're using the real head, we have to rebuild all this. This is all shrunken in. Looks like a prune on the top. We have to rebuild this. There's a lot of shrink that goes on. We try to repair all of the shrink that we can. That all has to be done inside the mouth. We will show you the fins. Now, we'll probably do it while they're gone. We will trim those fins, and we will finish fins for you so you can see them. And then you're going to see just how durable those fins are. They're really, really durable. They can withstand a lot of abuse, a lot of dusting, and a lot of cleaning. And we have fish that come in that are damaged for some reason or another, and the fins 15 years later are in exceptional shape. Exceptional.
Yeah.
So we'll show you all that, and I think eventually we're going to get to sealing, painting, driftwood display.
I think that's A to Z. We're on about L.
L, I was going to say L.
So we've got a long ways to go, but we're getting there, and he's looking really good. This is kind of fun.
And our giveaway this week, can I tell them that?
You can.
They are going to get a matte Mod Podge, and they're going to get a roll of silk span. So you can do your own fins. You were showing them how to patch that fin. I had a competition fish one time that I needed just a little. I just had a chip out of one fin, and I used Mod Podge toilet paper. A little piece of toilet paper, and it worked perfectly. And this is silk span. It's actually what this really is used for. It looks like tissue paper, but it's far from tissue paper, and it's used for model airplane wings. Don't tell them
airplane.
that?
Well, don't tell them it's used for toilet paper
No,
because
it's not used for, they're too
then there'll be a
expensive for
shortage of toilet paper. Shortage of silk span.
But it's made for model airplane wings, the skin on model airplanes. We used to get it from a company who used to get it from a company in China, and it burnt down. So for a long time we couldn't get real silk span, and we bought it from other companies, and it's not real silk span.
And so, do we have any updates for them for next week, or are we just going to tell them to see us there?
If they want to put pre-orders in, we are taking those until Monday. So that, I believe, today's the 15th. So whatever Monday is,
Yeah.
whatever the date is.
17th,
Yeah.
18th, 19th or so, probably.
Yep.
And then you can save on shipping, and I believe you get a 10% discount as well.
Well, that's a lot.
And then
That's a big savings.
that is a big savings. And then the Missouri show is also coming up the following weekend, I think the weekend of the 30th. And we will be there also, and if you want pre-orders for that, to make sure to get those put in. Those will go till the Monday after next week.
And that's first come, first serve for availability and space, isn't it?
Yeah, we can run out of room,
Limited
so.
space, yep.
Yeah. I think that's.
Is that it? Oh, who wins?
So Dusty Klein is our giveaway
Dusty
winner.
Klein.
Dusty, congratulations.
And then we do have a couple questions on YouTube, real quick. Craig Metz is wondering what your thoughts on Lifetone Turf Fin.
Tough fin.
Tough fin?
We've used Lifetone Tough Fin quite a bit.
Yep.
I get a reaction sometime,
Yeah.
and I don't know what from.
I at one time thought it might be a little bit to do with borax.
Borax, I thought so too.
Yeah.
Our fish pickle is borax and salt, basically. And Tough Fin, when I used it and it worked, I thought, this is the best product ever. And all of a sudden, I'd get curdling sometimes, but 2 out of 10 times. I don't know why.
Yep.
But Tough Fin, if it works for you, it's a nice product. It's a nice thick buildup.
The other one was a comment, so.
Good comment or bad comment?
No, it was good. It's from Randy, and he's just saying that he keeps his epoxy putty soft by keeping a small piece of damp sponge in his containers. It rehydrates dried putty so it can be used.
Sure.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Those comments and tips from our viewers are, we learn something every now and then too.
We do,
It's very valuable.
We
And
pretend we know it all, but we really don't.
we don't, but I guarantee we'll go back on Friday and try it out.
All right. Well, I think we will be going live at the NTA though at
I
some
bet we
point.
do.
So make sure to stay tuned for that.
How will they find out when we're going to go live? Will you send them a little update or an idea?
We'll probably send out an email about the times that we're going to go live, and then also we'll keep everything updated on Facebook and our Instagram page. So make sure to go to our page, and I think there's 3 dots where you can click, and then there's a see first option for pages, so you can always see our info and when we go live, right when you open up your Facebook app.
So if they haven't subscribed, subscribe,
Yes,
definitely.
like, subscribe,
Like,
share this
yeah.
live video to be entered into 2 weeks giveaway.
Good.